Hello, welcome back to my channel. I recently made this jar of reading challenges, and one of the challenges in there is my 100 books before 50 list. And I, for the second pull from that jar, I actually pulled this challenge, and I realized I only have 29 books on there instead of 100. So I figured we should add some more. I have read a few of them, and we'll just have a little look-see and see if I have read anything else, since I am reading SPQR because that was the one I picked, but I haven't read anything else. Okay, so let's at least fill out the page to 50, because I feel like that's will give me a little more to choose from if I pull this again. And basically this is just the books that have been kicking around my TBR for I don't know how long. So we can start immediately with Dating Dr. Dill. This was recommended, or like I saw it on BookTube years and years ago, and it has been on so many TBRs, but I just haven't been able to source it, so that's why I haven't read it yet. I'm probably shooting myself in the foot here because, like I said, I haven't been able to source it, so I don't know why that should change in the next few years, but yeah, I feel like it should be possible to get it somehow. So then we also have the Jakarta Method, because I recently purchased that and obviously haven't read it yet, and I really want to read more non-fiction and read more like political stuff so that I can engage more in the political climate as of today, and just like know background for what is going on in the world. And in that same vein, I do want to read Open Veins of Latin America, because that one is always recommended. Again, I did have a brief look to see if I could get it, and I think it's out of print because the only ones I could find were like so expensive. So hopefully I can get it from the library at one point or another. But yeah. Then there are a couple of books that I have had home from the library so many times and just haven't gotten around to. One of them is about the brain and just basically what your brain is doing for you in your everyday life. And then the other is about the Dowager Empress, I think it's called, of China. Shilu, I think, maybe. I don't know, she just like I don't know anything about her or China or the time period, so I figured that would be interesting to read. Then we also have the Jasmine Throne. I bought that last year, haven't read it yet, so guess it's about time. And let's see, we could probably also do with A Hero Born. That's actually also I think it's like Chinese inspired, at least, because it's Chinese inspired fantasy as far as I remember. Then let's see, I also own No Logo by Naomi Klein, and haven't read that for ages and ages, so again, want to be more informed. Then we also have, I have my journal of challenges and stuff I do, and this is where all my TBR games go. Oh yeah, and actually maybe I want to put in Charlotte by Helen Moffat, because that is a retelling of, what is it? I wanted to say Pride and Prejudice, but I don't think that's correct. But let's put that in here. Okay, I remembered that Charlotte is actually a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but it's from Charlotte's perspective, Elizabeth's friend that marries Mr. Collins. Spoilers, in case. Yeah, I was just thinking about Mary Bennet because there have been so many like retellings of her perspective lately, but this is from Charlotte's point of view. Then I also got out my Storygraph because there are a bunch of things that have just been kicking around my TBR for I don't know how long. And amongst those are Tarnished Are the Stars, which, as far as I remember, it was put on my TBR years ago. But as far as I remember, it's about asexuality, and I'm always interested in more representation on that. And then The Queen of Yeflaria, which is also, it was highly recommended like back in the day. And the criteria for me putting books on this list is basically stuff that has been kicking around for years. And The Animals at Lockwood Manor, that should be going on here based on that. But again, I have had so many problems sourcing it, and it's been on so many TBRs, and I just haven't been able to get a hold of it. And when I look more into it, because as far as I remember, it's about this museum curator who goes with the collection out into the country during the Second World War to protect the collection from the Blitz in London. And then stuff goes on at this manor where they are located. And I read like a few more synopses or summaries or whatever, and it did say something about magical realism, and magical realism is not for me. So I don't want to spend money on this book, because one of the few times I actually saw it in the wild was when I was in Ireland last year, and they had it at the bookstore. But like again, I didn't want to spend the money because I'm not sure it's for me with the magical realism, if that is really a big part of it. Also, magical realism is it has to be a specific kind for me to like it. Like Anna Marie McLemore, I really enjoy, but I feel like that is way more magic than realism. And I think, what's it called? The Neapolitan, you know the one, my best friend Elena Ferrante's series. I feel like there was a little bit of magical realism in that, but so little that it was just weird. You know, it was like 99.9% realism, and then there was one thing that was really weird and off and supposedly magical or whatever, and I was like, no thanks. So depending on, I feel like this is more leaning towards that than the mostly magical thing. But I think, considering the criteria for making this list, it probably should go on here. And I will have to see if I can source it somewhere where I don't spend a bunch of money on it. Yeah. And basically, these are like when I just put anything and everything on there. So I can't remember what half of this is. The Winner's Curse, I feel like that was, what's it called? You know, back in the day when dystopia was all the rage, this one was supposedly different. So that could be interesting to see if that's correct. The Black God's Drums, I feel, do I have that on here? Yeah, I already have that on here. I was gonna say that is also one of the ones that has just been kicking around a number of my TBR lists and just not succeeding in sourcing it. Same with Bringing Down the Duke, but I do maybe have a feeling that it is already on here. It isn't. Okay. And I don't really read a lot of romance books or historical romance. But this is when, you know, if somebody said this book is really, really great, even though it was in a genre that I didn't like, maybe still don't like, I would put it down because I'm up for anything if it's good. But yeah, I guess we'll see. So we are on 43, so we should get at least another 7 books. So I think we're going to go for Written in the Stars. A number of these older ones have been hard to source, like I said. But hopefully if I pull the 100 before 50 challenge in my jar, then I will have a bunch of stuff to choose from. How I have been picking the book so far is just basically the next one that I haven't read in whatever challenge I'm picking. So this would be 101 essays that will change the way you think. And I feel like that should be pretty easy because I feel like I have seen that one around. But just in case I couldn't source it in a timely manner, I would just move on until I found one that I could get. The Girls at the Kingfisher Club is also one of those that has been kicking around forever. And I feel like I have read other books that I thought were similar, like Last Night at the Telegraph Club. I think I conflate those two. So, yeah. Then we have this John Green. I'm actually going to put on Everything is Tuberculosis because I have been really interested in that. Tuberculosis. Let's see. 4 more. The Body in the Garden. I have no memory of putting that one on. Secrets of a Summer Night. I have no idea. An Army Like No Other has also been on many a TBR, but that is already on here. So hopefully that will soon be read. And I feel like these 2 should also go on there from the beginning. And I feel like these were like coming out in from 2016 and 2017, but I feel like when the Black Lives Matter movement was at its peak, these 2 were recommended a lot for getting like a background in that whole history. Let's see. Oh, there's Dating Dr. Dill, so that's already on here. Confessions, again, one of those where it's not really my genre because I don't typically read mystery thriller books, but everyone says it's so good that I feel like even though it's not your genre, you should maybe read it. So as I remember, it's like a school teacher in one of the younger classes where her daughter, I think, is killed, and she thinks that some of her students has something to do with it, so she sets out to make them confess, basically. And I would put on The Motorcycle Diaries, but technically I have already read this one. I just think maybe it's a different, like it was years and years ago, so. But I have decided to not put rereads on this because it should be new books that you are accumulating, in my opinion, or for my project at least. So let's see. The Second Rebel, definitely, because it has been years and years and years since I read The First Sister. And I definitely need to reread that before I read this one, but it's time to, you know, move that series along. Orientalism is also one I really, really want to get into. And that is basically 50 books on the list now. So I think I'm going to stop here because there's still 6.5 years until 50. So I do have time to find other books that can kick around on my TBRs for ages. And other books that are like classics in a field that I feel like I should read. But this definitely gives me a bunch more options than just the 29 that were on here as a beginning. So if you have any books that you feel like should be on here, please let me know, and I will maybe add them. And let me know if you have any sort of list like this. I would be interested to see what you have on there and how you are doing and what your deadline is. Like I said, we have 6.5 years still, so definitely doable, but maybe I should start to prioritize some of these books, because as I said, some of them have been around for years on end, so it's time that I actually pay attention to this list. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!